Hey everyone, I'm Sarita and I am back to share another video with you. I am here to help you, inspire you on your healing journey, on healing trauma, on healing the nervous system, on recovering your energy, improving your mental health. And today what I wanted to share about are the things that I wish I had known when I had started my journey on trauma healing. So by sharing this, I hope that this will help you skip some steps that were unnecessary or where I put time, energy, and money in places where I feel like were not helpful for me. And so when I decided it wasn't I didn't go out saying I want to heal my trauma. I had figured out that I have all of these things that have clearly affected me, and I do have trauma issues. And so when I went out on this path, I really got sucked into things that had to do with personal development and a lot of things that had to do with spiritual development. And there's nothing wrong with these things, but they do not heal trauma. They're not going to heal PTSD symptoms. It's not going to help correct maladaptive patterns in your brain. If your brain is already very affected by complex trauma or just trauma in general, then things like personal development can actually make you feel worse, and it won't get you to the root cause of what's going on with you. And so I bought into a lot of the hype at the beginning, following the teachings of personal development gurus and teachers where they tell you, and some of them even saying that, this is how you can release trauma when they're not even specialists in the field. They don't know anything about it, and they don't have complex trauma themselves, or if they do have it, they probably haven't healed through it if they're just trying to use things like affirmations and writing exercises and how to use your mind to change your mind. Well, how does it work when your mind doesn't function very well, when your brain health isn't great, and you are constantly activated in a fight or flight response, right? So how does that make sense? So I spent a lot of money on courses on restructuring beliefs and manifestation or creating a new reality or things like that. Those things were really a waste of time and money because those did not get to the root cause of what was happening. The other thing I got sucked into as well was a lot of spiritual courses and spiritual healing courses, like healing the chakras and healing the energy centers, and solely relying on meditation and things like this. Like meditation, that's just like part of the day. That is for your overall health and well-being. It helps you become more aligned with nature and consciousness so that you can bring great things into your life. But again, is that really going to help work out significant trauma or complex trauma? No, it's not really going to help with that. So I spent, again, time and money listening to these kind of abstract spiritual teachers and trying to take these big concepts of spirituality and using those to heal trauma. Well, that doesn't work. It's not very practical. Yes, that's great to work on your energy centers. Yes, it's great to work on balancing your chakras. But is that a trauma-specific method or therapy? No. So that is also a place where I wasted sort of time, energy, money, where really I should have been focusing more on trauma-specific therapies and people who specialize in complex trauma. And some other things that I wish I had known as well are the things that discouraged me on my path and still can discourage me on my path. I just have to remind myself every once in a while is that, this isn't a linear path. You can feel like you got to a certain place and then something will happen and you feel like you're falling backwards. And what I'm telling you is you're not falling backwards. It's actually part of the process, because life still happens. You're still going to have people that trigger you. You're still going to have situations that trigger you. And you're still going to act out some of the same patterning. And what hopefully you notice is over time, when you are in the process of actually releasing trauma, is that your reactions are less, that the way that you react might be in the same way, but maybe it doesn't drag out quite as long. Or maybe you're just having a really bad week and you do have a bad reaction. That doesn't mean you're not making progress. You are still making progress. Do not doubt yourself. Things are still happening, and do not doubt yourself at all. Just always keep moving forward. We're always going to have bad days. And even when you've significantly healed your trauma, we're still humans. We're still reactive. We still react a certain way. It's not like we're monks sitting in a cave with not interacting with the world. So it's not a linear path. You are going to feel like you have setbacks, but just know that they are not setbacks, that it's just part of the process and it's part of what you're going through. And another thing I wish I had done is not listen so much to what other people think out there about healing trauma and what that's supposed to look like, and that there's this one set path or system to follow. That is not true. We are all different. Yes, trauma patterns generally play out in a similar way, but everyone is somewhat different. Different things are going to work for different people. So if you find something that feels like it's really working for you, just keep it in the mix. Keep doing it. Like for me, one of the things I was very much against, because the spiritual community really makes it look so bad, is hot yoga, like doing yoga in a heated studio. And this was I started to do it before I started trauma therapy. And I just decided one day, you know what? My intuition keeps telling me to go to the hot yoga studio by my place. Try an infrared hot yoga class. And at the time, I didn't have the knowledge that I am a highly somatic processor. And so I hold trauma deeply in my body. I feel everything happening in my body. And at that time, I was quite disconnected from my body. I didn't even really realize that I was carrying so much trauma. So when I started to do hot yoga, it was like, oh my God, my body would feel immediately better right after a class. And so that was another thing. I'm like, wow, I put off ever trying this thing because it's looked down upon by a lot of people. And this could have really been a huge piece of helping me with anxiety. And I started doing it when I was having a really bad bout of anxiety. And it literally would just take the anxiety away from me. Though it was temporary, it would still remove that. So I encourage you to, regardless of what other people say, if your intuition is saying try that thing, go try that thing. And what I would say in general when it comes to healing is don't listen to other people out there. Like, I'm even talking about myself. You don't have to listen to everything that I say. I'm just sharing my experience, and maybe it inspires you to try some similar things, and maybe some of those things will work. Maybe some of them won't work. But don't take it as, oh, well, it worked for her, and if it didn't work for me, well, that means there's no hope for me. Like, no, that just means you have not found the thing that is right for you, or you haven't stuck with a certain thing for enough time to really see if it works for you. And everyone's path is just different. So if someone is out there telling you there's this one system and this one way to do it, no, that's not true. They are not you. They don't know what's happening with you. And what has really annoyed me in the personal development space is a lot of personal development teachers and spiritual teachers even. It's like if someone says, well, you know, this technique that you've taught me or you've introduced to me isn't really working for me, well, they go off and say, oh, well, because you're not doing it right. You're not implementing it the correct way. You know, and it's something maybe you've been doing for a long time and it's just not working. Oh, well, you need to do it longer. You need to trust the process. It's like, no, maybe you don't need to. Maybe you need to move on to something else that might work for you. So really trust yourself. Let your body and your intuition guide you to what the next step should be. And you are always going to be your own best guide. So those are really the main things that I had wish I had known that would help keep me in a more positive space, help me move along faster, and help me save some money and time around certain things. And so if you have any questions, of course, pop them down below. I'm happy to answer them. Or if you want me to make a follow-up video on this, if you have questions, I'm happy to do that as well. I hope these, sort of my journey can help you get yours a little more fine-tuned. And I will be back with another video.